What's up, guys? Welcome back to our channel.
What's up, people?
We're going to share with you guys a step-by-step on how to purchase land, how to look for it, how to purchase it, and share a little bit with you guys how we went about doing it and our whole process, because we get a lot of questions about that still to this day, and we're finally getting around to it. The first step to buying land is to figure out where the heck you want to live. I mean, you got to know where you want to live. Whether that's you're going to look in a different city in your state or you're going to move out of state. So that was a big part for us. And we had a few states that we were narrowed down on, and mainly they were states with no income tax. And I knew I wanted to move to Texas, and I really wanted him to want that too. And so we took a road trip out to Texas, and he fell in love with it too, and we decided on Texas.
I didn't know that. That was the first. That was new. What we did is we got out there. So we started taking road trips during 2020 and all that stuff, and all that stuff was going crazy. So that was our opportunity to kind of take the time to actually really decide where we wanted to be, and
spend some time there. And get a feel for it.
Feel the people there. Well, that's kind of weird. Get a feel for the people there, communities, all that stuff.
Step 2 would be creating your checklist of all the major things that you have to have, non-negotiables, on your property. And maybe you have some that are like, you could go either way. They don't have to be there, but you would love for them to be there. So some of ours were
water.
Yeah, we wanted water on our land. We wanted it to be a little bit more secluded. We also didn't want to be super close to the city. It didn't have to be like 5 hours outside of the city, but we wanted to be at least like 30 minutes to an hour outside of the city. And then another one was acreage. We didn't want like 1 acre. So we didn't really have like a maximum amount, but
we had a minimum.
What was the minimum?
Minimum was 5.
Okay, 5.
We ended up with the one we bought.
Those were our major things that I can think of on our checklist.
There was pond, make sure there's water, pasture, kind of like flat. It's not like so like hills, just like our land is just a hill or a mountain, and we have a little bit of land. Another thing was trees. We wanted trees there. We wanted some.
And not to be in a floodplain.
Yes, and
because we went to one in a floodplain.
Step 3, I would say. This is the fun part. Go online and search all the properties that you can find under that criteria. This is what I would do like on a religion. Like, Courtney would wake up, she would go to sleep, she'll wake up with like 40 different listings in her text on her text message.
I did.
And then from there, when she was at work, she would sift through them, sift through them, and she would send me back the ones that she liked.
Well, I would just heart them, but
and that helped me because I'm like, okay, out of all these properties, start to narrow.
And there's a ton of websites out there that you can look at. Don't just look at like Zillow.
There's Zillow, Realtor.com,
we'll list a bunch of them in the description box if you guys want to go check them out, because there are a lot different sites for land if you're looking for just land than ones with homes on them.
And then you got for sale by owners. Like you might have the owners that want to sell their land. That's another opportunity.
So that was a huge thing, that step, sending properties back and forth to each other. I would be like, absolutely not, or this one's nice.
Send her all the homes, fellas. Send her everything, so she can't say nothing. You don't want to just pick the ones that you like. No, send the ones that you like to her. So out of those 40, she's still gonna like the one you like. See, it's smart. Well, so that's what I did. Step 4, it's time to put on your boots. Maybe put on your suit and tie, and go visit the dang properties.
Don't wear a suit and tie to go look at land.
Yeah, don't do that.
You definitely want to bring some boots. Yes, looking at the land, because obviously you're not going to know, especially when it's bare land and there's no home on it. It's hard to envision things. So if you are going to build something on it, it makes it a lot easier. Oh, I could see my house here, or heck no. So.
And then with your realtor, make sure you get a good realtor, because real estate agent, because some of them aren't that great, but you want to get one that's really good to you, really is tell you the truth, all that stuff. So, which
I feel like we really lucked out when we would reach out to go look at properties, and we found looking at one property, we found a really good one in like I guess you could call it Central East Texas.
Yeah.
And then when we went to look at other ones, more where our land is now, we also found another realtor.
Yeah.
So
And
you kind of have to, reach out to different ones. And if somebody doesn't reach out to somebody else and just look up realtors in that area and figure out, because, realtors are different. There's one for everybody, and you have to find that right one that you really work well with and that's going to actually do what you need them to do.
And to backtrack a little bit, if you guys find properties you guys like, call the number that's there. Or if there's a realtor, call that realtor, reach out. What I would do is I would just send an email, like they on the bottom of like Zillow or whatever. You say, yes, I'm interested. I'll just send it. And then they'll just reach back to me. And that's how I'll get in contact. And then from there, you can just kind of expand.
Because they'll have extra information a lot of times too that isn't on there, or they'll be able to give you more detail about it. Or like when we bought this house, our realtor did walkthroughs with us on FaceTime when things were going on. So things like that, if you're not able to get out there right away, but you want to see like an overview of it, like live, that kind of thing, sometimes they'll do for you too. So
yeah. And back to the going out there, spending time and actually going and putting boots on the ground, it's very important to ask these questions like, is it built on a floodplain or in a floodplain? Does it get fires? Or like, what's the zoning? Like, is there easement? Like stuff like that. So
can you make it ag?
You really want to get familiar with the terminology and really ask your real estate agent those questions. Number 5, visit the town.
Yeah.
Visit the closest town. See how the people are.
The neighborhood that your land is
in. The neighborhood, because you might have some people that are trashy.
Yeah.
Or they leave all their junk out, and you don't even know until you turn that corner.
Oh, that was one we left off of our little checklist. I knew there was something we left off of that. Having no restrictions. So when you buy land or even a house that has no restrictions or light restrictions, typically then everybody around you, at least for like a 5-mile radius, is going to have the same thing, which can be good, it can be bad, right? It's great for you because you can pretty much build whatever you want on there, put whatever you want on your land. But it can be bad for the surrounding places because a lot of people tend to not take care of their homes or their property. So that's super important too, to take a drive around, because the last thing you want to see when you're pulling up to your house every day or people come to visit you is a junk heap down the road. Or, when we were driving down a different road the other day, a giant Confederate flag outside somebody's house. So there's certain things you don't want to be around or see every single day.
Yes.
Especially if they're your next door neighbor or even just 2 houses down, because that stuff can trickle down to your house.
Yeah.
So those are really important things too, to drive around your neighborhood. Is this somewhere I can feel safe walking around? Do I want to look at that every day?
Are the people nice? Yeah. Do they share your similar values? Do they can you like just go downtown and not feel like you're being harassed, or you're feeling like you're getting the hard eyes, like people are just staring at you?
Well, and does the town have, because where our land is, we're not super close to like an HEB or Sam's Club, that kind of thing. So does it at least have the bare necessities?
Hospital.
So like that was important too. Do we at least have a grocery store, a hospital that's fairly close by? I don't know, gas stations, things like that you just are the essentials. I don't want to have to drive an hour to go and get, I don't know, toilet paper.
Or I got to fill up my tank before.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to be in a position where we get stuck or stranded because our land is too far from the resources we need.
Yeah. So that is a big thing, to really check out the surrounding area, which is why it's so important to visit.
Number 6. So this is more towards couples or somebody that's about to make that decision to buy property. You got to be realistic. Be realistic with your finances. Be realistic with yourself when it comes to finding a property. And don't try to buy something just because everybody else you're hearing is getting offers, or your real estate agent said, oh, there's already been 3 other people looking at this stuff. Don't worry about them. Be realistic with your finances and don't overpay. And if you stick to that code, then you should be fine. But especially with couples, you have kids or anything like that, budgeting for that. Don't just, if you got a piece of land that costs $120,000 or $100,000, but the land down the road is $180,000, like I said, be realistic with yourself. You know, take the $100,000 property, make it your home. You know what I'm saying?
Well, especially if you are going to build a home
Yeah.
on it, you want to take into consideration how much that house is going to cost on top of your property cost.
Yeah, so that's probably one of the biggest things. Knowing how much you're willing to spend and how much you're willing, the minimum.
Yeah.
Because with us, we had a price point, and we weren't gonna go higher than that just because that one looked prettier, you know, or that one looked better. It's like it wasn't about pretty, it wasn't about aesthetic.
And
like we wanted aesthetics, but we knew what our budget was, and we knew what buying land is just the beginning. You still have to build a house, you still have to put in things, and you got to plan at least $200,000 more, or $300,000 more than what you paid for that land.
I always say, just because you get approved for a certain amount, you don't want to go to that exact amount.
Exactly.
You want to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room.
Yep, give yourself a cushion.
So.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of how we bought our land and solidified that. We didn't have jobs out in Texas. We didn't have anything. So what I did, I liquidated. I had some cryptocurrency. I liquidated about 20-something thousand, and instead of buying shoes or buying watches or buying a new car,
we saved for like 6 months on top of all that.
We decided to go in on a property.
It was kind of crazy though how we did it, because we did make the decision really fast.
Yes.
And on very little sleep.
We have I wouldn't say we have a unique situation, but how we did it was pretty,
people
not the
would say
norm,
we're crazy.
but since we had our ducks in a row and we were on it, that's how
it happened in less than 24 hours. We'll just say that, because we took a red-eye flight out to Texas.
4 a.m. No, we left at 11:59. We got in Texas at 4.
And then
4:30.
Immediately got our rental car as soon as we could, drove out to the property,
there,
walked around. We were out there for a couple hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to go see another one. It was in a duck slough. Mm-hmm. Is that what it's called? Yeah. I mean, you talk about, like, we didn't even walk out there because I just knew as soon as the guy opened the gate, no. The weeds were as tall as me.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
like,
it was in a floodplain.
Mm-hmm. But making sure you're not always looking for the shiny things, because that other property, it was bigger acreage, around the same price. Yeah. So I'm like, we get double the acreage. And
it was a really nice area. We liked everything else, but the actual property itself.
Yeah.
And then we called the guy selling the other land that we actually bought, like, hey, we're coming back. Okay, went back, signed the papers, and it was basically a done deal. We flew home a couple hours after that, and
we're back in California. It was literally a 24-hour trip.
For 24 hours.
Yeah. It was worth it, but like, you got to be able to take those type of risks or make those type of commitments in order for things to happen in your life. By us spending that 24 hours awake, it gives us the opportunity to be able to pass them down to our kids. Yeah, I mean, if y'all deciding to buy some property, be patient, but be aggressive. You know, don't just let deals go through your fingers. You know, have a bottom line, like have a amount you're gonna spend. And don't go over it.
Yeah.
You know, don't think it's going to work out the way you think it's going to work out.
And I would say, if you have a checklist of non-negotiables, don't settle for less than one of those, because most likely you will end up regretting it down the road. And not to say you couldn't sell it down the road, but that's just our opinion and our experience and people that we have met along the road that went through the same things. That's
our step-by-step guide on how we bought our land. If you guys have any more questions, please put in the comments, because we're going to respond. Like and subscribe to the video. And I think you're going to say something.
I was going to say that. I was going to say, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Yeah, subscribe to the channel, people. I'm Ethan.
And I'm Court.
And we'll see y'all later.
I'ma need safety. Tell the op can't snake me. Ray gun off safety.